Welcome back. Thank you for staying with the broadcast. COVID-19 has had a significant negative impact on the livelihoods of those in the creative industries. Musicians have not had any avenues to perform live, given the cancellation of all mass crowd events and the postponement of festivals like Carnival. But some relief is on the way. Genevieve Gonzague tells us more.
ECHO members can breathe a sigh of relief as they will be receiving payments in both the form of royalties as well as COVID-19 economic relief from the organization. Extempo artist and former director of ECHO, Isai Hall, relayed the good news to Hot 7 on Wednesday.
And we're talking two payments here. We're talking royalties, but we're also talking a very important COVID-19 relief fund payment, which the board of directors agreed to.
Hall says he is slightly disappointed that the artists could not receive reimbursements on Wednesday as originally planned, as there are artists who have not worked for over a month.
We just simply wasted a day with which our members could have started receiving payments that they need urgently. Let me just say that we have members who have not worked for a while, and they are in desperate need of these funds.
He indicated that there is an initiative where stakeholders will be coming together to lobby government on behalf of the creative industries, which will be presented at a later date.
We have actually put together an action plan with suggestions going forward to be presented to all the stakeholders who were present, which included, as you said, Balance, Inc., AMP, CDF, everybody responsible for the music industry. So the coming together of persons within the industry to lobby government. I know there's an initiative taking place which is being spearheaded through the Cultural Development Foundation. I'm sure you will hear a lot more about that.
Musicians who are members of ECHO will begin receiving their economic relief on Thursday, 7th May 2020 at the National Cultural Center from 10 a.m. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzague.
Economic Development Minister Guy Joseph has responded to questions surrounding the Castries Market redevelopment project. During a call-in program, Keeping It Real, a member of the public queried whether there were cost overruns on the project. Following his statement, the minister called in to address the matter.
It is time that this nonsense stop in St. Lucia, that everybody wants to label both political parties the same. They are not the same. UWP is nothing like the Labour Party when it comes to cost overruns and projects. I'm not saying that we will never have a project coming above a cost or below a cost, but nothing like this has happened with the projects that we are implementing and with projects that I have presided over. They cannot come in and point out to any overrun.
The minister also addressed questions about the delay in handing over the project.
And let me inform the caller who just called that the market, the structure that the contractor was given the contract for, was finished from December. In fact, there was a soft handing over. What was missing were the shelves, the toilets, and the other things that had to come. That was not part of the original contract of the project. So the project is not 6 months delayed. We know what happened with COVID and why so many projects. I mean, we had set several dates for the handover, and because of the curfew, because of the lockdown, and a number of things, it could not happen.
That was Economic Development Minister Guy Joseph. There are concerns that some employers are exploiting the current COVID-19 crisis to lay off staff. Minister for Labour Stephenson King says there has been a need to bring clarity to sections of the Labour Code to employers, and says furthermore, it is shameful that any employer would not show compassion to employees during this COVID-19 crisis.
An employer has the right to lay off an employee for 3 months as opposed to being terminated under the law. The upside of this course of action, according to Labour Minister Stephenson King, is that it gives the employee the guarantee that he or she still has a job during the COVID-19 crisis. while the business has time to rebound. But there are concerns by unions that with the NIC providing relief for workers who have been laid off during the COVID-19 crisis, employers are exploiting the system.
Well, if that is the trend, it is a dangerous one, and it just demonstrates the selfishness of those employers who seem to exploit the labor code and exploit the system, particularly the program, the initiative which the government has introduced. And this is not what we really want. At this time, what we need compassion. We need people to understand that we're all in this together, as is commonly said. And therefore, there's a need for an appreciation of the work of employees, the contribution to business, the sacrifices that they make. At the same time, we also appreciate the effort and the investment of employers. But to exploit it in that blatant manner is unacceptable. And where we believe that there's exploitation, we'll certainly do what is necessary.
But there are many businesses, some not deemed essential, that have been hit very hard by the partial shutdown. Others, deemed essential, are grappling to stay afloat and implement cost-saving measures. It makes for a very challenging period for labor relations, and the minister concedes that a number of queries have been made to the Labor Department by both employees and employers.
We have received a number of reports, not necessarily violation of the labor code, but persons, employees who particularly come into the department and call into the department to at least receive advice and clarification on the application of the law. In cases where we've found employers wanting, we have certainly intervened to ensure that those employers abide to the framework of the law. So we do receive a number of requests, a number of inquiries from different persons, from employer and employees. We have met with the St. Lucia Chamber of Commerce to bring clarity to a number of sections of the Labor Code. We have also met with the Employers Federation to bring in clarity also to sections of the Labor Code.
On a related matter, the minister says the implementation of a minimum wage is something that remains on the front burner of the administration. He says within the next 3 months, the government should have an announcement to make on this matter.
Government ministers have not taken a pay cut because the cabinet does not want to give the impression that it is trying to influence the decision of the public service. That's according to Prime Minister Alan Chastanet. The much talked about 75% pay cut for the cabinet, which for public servants is being dubbed anything but a pay cut, hinges on the decision of public sector unions and not the other way around.
It's supposed to be this month, but remember, it's tied to everyone accepting. So the ministers have agreed to accept 25% in cash and 75% in bonds for the 3 months. We're certainly hoping, and again, I want to reiterate, nobody's forcing the civil servants. We've gone to the civil servants as the Ministry of Finance to articulate the difficulties.
Prime Minister Chastanet says the cabinet remains committed to shared sacrifice alongside the public service.
What I have deliberately done and what Cabinet has done is to not take the lead. So I don't want anyone to believe that Cabinet is attempting to influence the union workers. Cabinet is prepared to take 75% in bonds and 25% in cash if in fact the other union workers take 50 and 50. As I've indicated, if we cannot get the unions to participate in this program, then the Ministry of Finance will have to make an alternative recommendation to Cabinet. We have not looked at that alternative, but we would have to look at that alternative. And once we understand what that alternative is, obviously Cabinet would participate in whatever regime we have to.
The Prime Minister says government has attempted to put in place mechanisms to protect the public service. He highlights that with 50% in bonds and 50% in cash and a 6-month moratorium on loans, it could very well mean that some public servants will take home a higher net pay. The alternative, he says, is that government goes into default on its loans, and that would be a painful road for all.
But I think it's important that they appreciate that if in fact government were to default, not only would it directly impact them, but it would also impact the country. And if we have to go to what's called a structural adjustment program, then that means that we're no longer going to be in control of our deficit.
The Department of Finance and public sector unions continue dialogue on the best way forward. This is the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Stay with us. There's more coming up after the break.